Welcome back then, and as you can see we are on the second account today. We're racing from the Nurburgring 24HR layout and we are in the Group 4s, so I'm going to be using the Audi TT. There wasn't a video last week, one down to it being Christmas, and also the daily races on offer last week just weren't really up to scratch. The tracks and the car combinations they'd chosen wasn't really going to make for very good racing. I did have a couple attempts, but it wasn't going to turn out into a video in the end. So we're going to be seeing what we can do today. We are going to be starting from the back, and just let's get right into it. So for those of you who don't know, the 24-hour layout here combines the Nurburgring GP track and then the entire Nordschleife lap. This lobby was quite highly rated for a B lobby. There were quite a few A drivers at the front as well. Some quick quali times to be fair, so we're going to be seeing what we can do. Weren't expecting too much from this. I'd been doing maybe 3 or 4 races before this and we had been getting quite a lot out of it. But when as you can see at the start of the video, the quali times weren't too bad to be fair, and we are getting towards the A rated drivers now. So as we head down into turn 1, I'm just trying to stay conservative, stay away from the pack at the start, nothing silly. As I say that, the 18th guy, 18th place there, he does seem to kind of stay in the corner for a long time. I wasn't really expecting that. The rest of the pack had got away and he just seemed to be dwelling on the apex there, but a little bit of contact, but it doesn't really affect him. As you can see, we are running with T13 livery today. And as we come round the first bit of the lap, we're already up into 18th after a mistake, and that's the theme of today really. There were a lot of mistakes and I was just focusing on keeping it on the track, and that's usually the best way, especially around here. If you just focus on being consistent rather than being really quick, you tend to come away with much better results and you don't end up fighting over 1 or 2 positions, which usually costs the most time. So as you can see, behind way too speedy there, and he does run a little bit wide of that previous corner, which ends him then deep into this corner. I get run him and go side by side. We're actually going to then get the slipstream of the guy in front of him, and we're going to pull off one of the best moves of the year and cut through both of them, coming into the chicane, working in quite quick. So I had to hold it through there. We're going to run a bit wide on the exit there, and we're now behind the Brit with a fantastic username, I must say, Wigan Kebab. And we're now into 16th as we head onto the Nordschleife, and this is going to be where it's really tricky. You don't really want to be in the middle of a pack here, you can easily get punted off. And so once again, as you can see, there is a guy quite close behind me, so I did want to look for a move, but I backed out of it because I don't want anything silly on this first lap through the very tight and technical section at the start of the Nordschleife. It does open up a little bit when you get through here, and the pack will be spread out a little bit more. The main cars in this event were the TT, and I believe it was the Vipers. As you can see, one in front of me there. And we're just going to follow him all the way down this straight, put a little bit of pressure on but leaving him enough room, and he just runs a little too deep, and it's so easy to do it there. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't too lucky as the 14th place guy has also gone off. So we're now up into 14th after maybe the first quarter of the lap here. It is a long lap, it's about, I believe, 9 minutes as a kind of average race pace kind of time. I think 9 minutes was about what I was doing on an open lap, so you're probably expecting a little bit more in traffic. The off-board shots, I must say, around Nordschleife are incredible, especially at night as well. That is another factor. Even racing around here online during the day is tough, but they've really got to throw it in. Like I say, the daily races this week are a lot better than what they were last week, and so I've been really enjoying them so far. The shorter one at the Red Bull Ring as well in the Group 3s, I should be bringing you a video for that later on in the week, as last time there I was actually racing against Super GT, which was a good laugh. Whether we'll be able to do that again, we'll have to wait and see. So again, just putting a bit of pressure on the guy ahead. He's all over the curbs, pushing quite hard on this opening lap. I'm quite comfortable at this point. Well aware that there is an entire another lap and you're not going to win the race on this first lap. Again, we'll just force him into an error. He runs wide. We're going to go through into 13th. So again, now on to the back of the next guy. Same thing, put a bit of pressure on. He runs wide and we're going to go right for the inside. He tries to turn in for us for some weird reason there. There's plenty of room on the track there. I thought he was going to come and try and punt us off, so maybe it was a genuine mistake. But we get through there okay, and now we've got a nice gap for ourselves. We can put a few good corners together, create a bit of a gap behind, and then really start working on catching the front guys up. At this point in the race, we are only 14 seconds from the lead. I know it sounds a lot, but again, over the course of the next kind of lap and a half, there's going to be plenty of time to make up. So like I say, I hadn't actually done any practice as such here on the quali lap times. I kind of jumped in. I do know the lap. It was just kind of figuring out braking points in the first kind of 3-4 races. Had some great battles with people, and it was just kind of finding where you could overtake, where you could push a bit harder than the other people. I seemed to be fairly good here on the brakes. I was catching a lot of people up in the corners as well. Obviously these flat out bits are in a bit of a dodgy situation if you're not following somebody, because obviously I'll be losing time on slipstream. But as you can see, absolute carnage up ahead, so it doesn't really matter on this opening lap too much, as there's a car off on the side there, and we're going to go through up another position. As the brake pads are glowing, it really goes with the livery of the car. I'm quite impressed by myself. Impressed with myself, I must say. For designing my livery myself, I don't usually play around a bit much, but I thought I'd do one for the Group 4s, and then I've got one on the Audi in the Group 3s as well. And so once again now, following somebody in the same car as us, just putting the pressure on. Unfortunately, he has been holding us up a little bit here. His 8th and 9th seem to be able to get a bit of a gap to us. But we're not going to change it, we're not going to force it on this opening lap. Just put the pressure on him, and I'm sure, like the previous two guys we overtook, he'll go into a mistake. As he does there, he gets it all kind of wrong, goes flying off into the barrier. I genuinely thought at the time he was going to come flying back on and hit us, but we were very lucky there. We managed to fly past, and once again we've now got a good gap to the car behind. We've got two cars scrapping ahead, and it's now going to be able to make up quite a bit of time. The leader, he's been able to gain a second on us again, where whilst we're stuck behind that guy. But I doubt I'm going to be going for the lead here. Podium would be incredible, but we're just going to keep pushing to this point. Plenty of time to go. So one other thing to note if you're doing daily races here is if you're following somebody with a penalty, especially this late on in the lap, you don't really want to be looking for the overtake unless it's fair, just because they have to serve that penalty on the back straight, which is a massive disadvantage here. So as long as you're within kind of 1-2 seconds, especially with this guy with a 2-second penalty, you could probably be even 3-4 seconds back, and you'd easily fly by him. It's a very high speed bit of a track as well, so don't really want to be looking for too many moves here. And again, on this next corner coming up, there's a bit of a carousel, so everybody dives to the inside. Now the guy in front there, I wasn't really expecting it. He braked really early. I was kind of following the 8th place guy, kind of braked where you normally would, but the 9th place guy kind of braked very early, and the 8th place guy there has ran off the track. He's not the one with a penalty, but it now gives us an incredible opportunity. As we're going to be flying past 8th, we're going to have the slipstream now. As we move up into 9th, the slipstream on the 8th place guy, and we're just going to move to the side. I'm not sure whether his car does have a little bit more power than his TT. It does seem to be holding his pace there now. Kind of holding his speed as we come into the bridge. I was hoping it was going to be sensible and move in behind me as I had got the line, and that is exactly what he does, so fair play to him for not taking us both out. Maybe if it was the last lap it would be slightly different, but again we've now got plenty of space ahead of us to really give it a good go on this final lap. Some great scenes, as you can see there is good 4-5 cars here just ahead, not too many seconds up the road, so like I say we are going to be pushing now, getting our head down and just focus on being consistent. We run a little deep into this corner, but it's not the end of the world as the next left hand is a very slow corner anyway, and so we get away with that. Not too much pressure from the car behind, it's still there, but not really looking for a move at this point. So as we skip a little bit further down, you can see that now 6th and 7th and 5th, I believe. 5th is just a little bit ahead, but 6th and 7th are scrapping away. As we head up into the easier chicane than the normal GP layout. And we'll be heading on to the Nordschleife section for the second and final time. And we've got a fellow Brit ahead of us, and we're just going to be closing that gap. We've got a nice second gap now to the guy behind us, and as you can see there's quite a bunch of cars all very closely racing ahead, so hopefully they have some battles we can close up. But once again, finding a bit of track like this to be able to really catch up to everyone else is vital in these races, especially if you're starting from further down, just being consistent. And like I said, if you create a little bit of a gap to the car behind you, you can then forget about it and just completely focus on catching up to the guys ahead. So as we skip a little bit later on into the lap, I do believe one of the guys ahead disconnected from the race. We're still on the back of the Brit, German's still in front of him. Brit runs very wide, and there's also somebody off on the right hand side, and we actually go up for the second move of the race where it's a double overtake. We run a little bit deep trying to throw it up the inside, but we get the job done, and now we're in sight of a podium position, 3rd and 4th squabbling up ahead. A little bit of pressure from the Brit behind this time, but eventually as we move a little bit further on, we have gapped a good 1.2, 1.3 seconds here. Now I've skipped to this point because I really thought here that 3rd and 4th were going to take each other off of this corner. But as you see, they did extremely well. This kind of really fast paced section of track, they've managed to not drive each other off the road. Especially at night time, it's quite hard to kind of see where everyone else is. Had to look at the radar. As we jump onto some incredible off-board shots as we head up to the carousel, but we're now very much in the sights of the podium position. I do believe these are some of the A-rated drivers now we're coming up against. As I run a little bit wide on the carousel, so it gives them a little bit of a gap ahead, but we ourselves have got a bit of a gap to behind, so we're not really too worried about that. We're just trying to stay with these two until the end of the lap, kind of the last straight, because that's where the real overtakes are going to happen. In this tight, windy section of track, don't really want to be looking for a move. Again, like I said earlier, so 3rd position, got a 0.5 second penalty. That's not going to be quite as drastic as the guy earlier who had a 2-second one, but it's definitely still going to slow him down. So if we're even in within kind of 1.5 seconds, I'd say we'd be catching up on at the end of a lap. That could be what the German in front's also thinking, just kind of staying with him, as he has got the Trump 2020 livery there. We're going to have a little look back out there as we go through each corner, as possibly the one before. The unfortunate thing now is second is slightly again a little bit more of a gap, and so we are kind of all over the back of this German here, and I'm trying to find a way through basically before the end of the lap, because otherwise P2 is going to be off. It's pretty much flat out from here. On worn tyres, did have to lift there a little bit, but it is definitely flat out now. P2's done well. As you can see on the left hand side though, we have managed to cut the gap to the lead down to 6 seconds from 15 seconds, which is quite impressive. but P3 here is kind of holding us up. We didn't want to go for a mover in his race, a little bit of a bump there because again, very slow apex speed. We brake a bit early this time just because of what the guy did last time where he braked very early at that corner. And unfortunately P2 is possibly going to be a little too far away, so we're now just focusing on staying in the slipstream of P3, not binning it at this corner here, which is very easy to do when you go on the grass. As we're now within a brilliant opportunity here to get a podium position. We've got the slipstream here. P2 served his penalty, we're going to go around P3. And I was hoping at this point P2 was going to come to my side of the track and we're going to get the slipstream. As we do manage to get in front of P3 for a split second, but unfortunately P2 is about 2/10 outside the slipstream range, which is really unfortunate. So that has allowed the German to get back at us. And very similarly to the lap before, where I was let through, I'm going to back out here. I know it's the final lap, but we didn't want to ruin both our races. I let him through, easing off the accelerator. And we were just hoping there was a little bit of a mistake at this last corner. P2 actually does make quite a hash of it, which then allows P3 to have a look. I'm going to pull to the side as well, just to see if we can cross the finish line. But unfortunately, we do finish P4, can't complain. Obviously we did start from last position, P19, so very impressed with that. It was a very fun race to partake in, and we were only 3.8 seconds off the leader in the end, which was quite something, about a few tenths off of the podium. So yeah, one of the best races. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.